In the heart of Louisville lived an extraordinary gorilla named Roland Brame. Unlike any gorilla you'd ever seen, Roland was a steampunk enthusiast. He loved gears, gadgets, and the whirring of intricate contraptions. But more than anything, Roland loved children. He had a heart of gold and a knack for bringing smiles to their faces. Roland was renowned for his magical abilities. He could pull a never-ending stream of colorful scarves from his hat and transform ordinary handkerchiefs into fluttering doves. His most impressive trick, however, was turning a simple ribbon into a fluffy white rabbit. Children would gasp in awe as the ribbon wriggled in his massive hand, transforming before their very eyes. Roland believed that magic had the power to inspire and amaze, and he strived to share that wonder with everyone he met. Little did he know that his greatest adventure was about to begin. An adventure that would take him beyond the realm of ordinary magic and into a world of wonder and peril.
Hello, what's your name?
One sunny afternoon, as Roland was setting up his magic show in the park, a curious little girl with bright eyes and a mischievous grin approached him. Her name was Darwin, and she was immediately captivated by the sight of the steampunk gorilla. She had never seen anything quite like him before.
What's your name?
Well, young lady, my name is Roland Brame, and I'm a magical gorilla, he replied with a warm smile, his voice a deep rumble that seemed to shake the ground beneath them. What brings you here today? Darwin, emboldened by Roland's gentle demeanor, pointed to a beautifully crafted toy box that had suddenly appeared beside him. It was unlike any toy box she had ever seen before, adorned with intricate carvings and glowing with an otherworldly light.
What's in there?
Roland, intrigued by the sudden appearance of the box, leaned down to examine it more closely. It hummed with a strange energy, beckoning them closer.
What's in there?
I'm not sure, Roland admitted, his furry brow furrowed in thought. But I have a feeling it's something extraordinary. He carefully lifted the lid of the toy box, and as he did so, a blinding light erupted from within. Darwin and Roland shielded their eyes, and when the light subsided, they found themselves staring into a swirling vortex of colors. The air crackled with energy, and a sense of wonder and trepidation washed over them. It was as if the toy box had become a portal to another realm, a realm unknown and full of possibilities. Roland, ever the adventurer, extended his hand to Darwin. Well, young lady, he said, a twinkle in his eye, shall we see where this adventure takes us?
Yes.
Darwin, her heart pounding with excitement, took Roland's hand, and with that, they stepped into the swirling vortex, leaving behind the familiar world of the park and embarking on a journey that would forever change their lives. The portal whisked them away, carrying them through a kaleidoscope of colors and sounds until they landed softly on a net suspended in midair. As their eyes adjusted to the dim light, they realized they were in a vast cavern, the air thick with a strange ethereal mist. Below them, the net seemed to stretch endlessly into the darkness, while above, the ceiling was lost in shadow. Strange shapes moved in the mist, casting eerie shadows that danced along the cavern walls.
Where are we?
Roland scanned their surroundings, his senses on high alert. I'm not sure, little one, he replied, his voice low and reassuring, but we need to be careful. Something tells me this place is not what it seems. As they ventured deeper into the cavern, the air grew colder and the sound of their footsteps echoed eerily through the silence. They passed by strange and wonderful sights, glowing crystals that pulsed with an inner light, waterfalls that cascaded into bottomless chasms, and trees with leaves that shimmered like silver. But amidst the beauty, there was a sense of danger lurking just beneath the surface. The shadows seemed to twist and writhe, taking on menacing forms, and the silence was broken only by the occasional screech or growl that sent shivers down their spines. As they walked, Roland noticed something peculiar. The net they were on was not just a net, but a giant spiderweb, its silken threads shimmering faintly in the dim light. And then they saw them, giant spiders, their eyes glowing like malevolent stars, scuttling along the edges of the web. The spiders hissed at them, their fangs dripping with venom, but Roland quickly ushered Darwin behind him, his massive frame shielding her from view. "Don't worry, little one," he said, his voice calm despite the danger. "I won't let them hurt you." Roland knew they couldn't stay on the web forever. The spiders were getting bolder, and he could sense that this was just the first of many dangers they would face in this strange realm. They needed to find a way off the web and into the heart of the cavern, where he hoped they might find answers. As they searched for an escape route, they stumbled upon a narrow passageway, hidden behind a curtain of shimmering moss. The passageway was dark and damp, but Roland could feel a faint breeze coming from within, suggesting it led to an exit. With Darwin clinging tightly to his back, Roland cautiously made his way through the passage, using his massive strength to push aside the tangled roots and vines that blocked their path. Finally, they emerged into a large, dimly lit chamber. The air was thick with the smell of sulfur and something else, something ancient and evil. In the center of the chamber, a cauldron bubbled and hissed over a roaring fire, casting grotesque shadows that danced across the walls. 3 figures, cloaked in dark robes, stood around the cauldron, their faces hidden in the shadows. As Roland and Darwin watched, the figures began to chant in a language that sounded both beautiful and terrifying. Their voices rose and fell in unison, weaving a spell of power and darkness. Roland's instinct screamed at him to turn and run, but he knew they had stumbled upon something important, something that might hold the key to escaping this strange and dangerous realm. These were not just any creatures, these were witches, their eyes glowing with an eerie green light as they chanted their incantations. One of the witches, taller than the others and with a voice that dripped with malice, suddenly stopped chanting and turned her head towards their hiding place. Roland felt a chill run down his spine. They had been discovered. The witches, alerted to their presence, turned their glowing eyes towards Roland and Darwin. Their chanting ceased, replaced by an unnerving silence that seemed to amplify the crackling of the fire. The tallest witch, her voice a raspy whisper, spoke.
Well, what do we have here? An ape and a child, how quaint.
She cackled, the sound bouncing off the cavern walls. Darwin instinctively tightened her grip on Roland's fur, her heart pounding in her chest. Roland, however, stood tall, his expression unreadable. He knew fear wouldn't help them here. He needed a plan. The witches, sensing his defiance, exchanged amused glances.
Don't be afraid, little one. We just want to play.
She held up a single, unblinking eye that seemed to float between her outstretched fingers. The eye pulsed with a strange energy, its gaze seeming to pierce through Darwin, reading her thoughts, her fears. Darwin felt a surge of power, not from the eye itself, but from within. It resonated with her, sparked a familiarity she couldn't quite place. The witches, mistaking her silence for terror, smiled cruelly.
The eye of Everwatch sees all, knows all.
And soon it will control all.
Roland, sensing the shift in Darwin, watched her closely. He saw a flicker of defiance ignite in her eyes, a strength he hadn't noticed before. The fear was still there, but it was overshadowed by something else, something powerful. He had a feeling Darwin was about to surprise them all. As the witches closed in, their single eye glowing ever brighter, Darwin felt a surge of power coursing through her veins. Memories vivid and fragmented flashed before her eyes, images of her mother whispering incantations, her hands glowing with the same ethereal light as the eye. She understood now. Her mother, Bellary, hadn't been a simple seamstress. She had been a witch, one of them. The realization hit Darwin like a bolt of lightning. This wasn't just a rescue mission, it was a reunion with a past she never knew existed. The eye's power, meant to enslave her, instead ignited a dormant magic within her, a legacy passed down from mother to daughter. The witches, sensing the shift in power, hesitated, their expressions flickering with confusion and a hint of fear.
What's this? You can wield magic?
My mother, she taught me.
The witches, enraged by this unexpected turn of events, abandoned their attempts to control Darwin and instead resorted to brute force. They chanted in unison, their voices echoing ominously through the cavern. The ground trembled, and a massive wooden barrel, bound in iron and studded with sharp spikes, burst forth from the shadows. It hurtled towards Roland and Darwin, its momentum unstoppable. Roland knew they couldn't outrun it. They needed a different plan, and fast. "Darwin, quickly!" Roland roared, scooping her up in his massive hand. He leapt to the side just as the barrel thundered past, missing them by inches. The barrel, its momentum unchecked, slammed into the net they had landed on. The impact reverberated through the cavern, causing a cascade of dust and debris to rain down from the ceiling. The net, weakened by the impact, began to fray. Roland knew they were running out of time. They needed to escape, and fast. As if on cue, a sleek black cat with piercing emerald eyes slunk out from the shadows, its movements fluid and graceful. It circled Roland and Darwin, its tail twitching back and forth, its gaze fixed on the witches.
Can you help us?
Roland boomed, his voice echoing through the cavern. The cat, in response, let out a soft meow and rubbed its head against Darwin's hand. As she reached out to pet it, the cat transformed, its small form expanding until it stood before them as a magnificent ice dragon. Its scales shimmering like 1,000 snowflakes, its eyes glowing with an otherworldly blue light. The cavern temperature plummeted, and a thick fog rolled in, obscuring everything from view. When the fog cleared, the net had vanished, replaced by a shimmering sheet of ice. The witches, their chance disrupted by the dragon's sudden appearance, gaped in astonishment. The ice dragon, its presence radiating a palpable chill, let out a deafening roar that echoed through the cavern, shaking loose more dust and debris. The witches, their voices drowned out by the dragon's roar, shielded their single eye, their fear palpable. The dragon lowered its head, its icy breath forming a swirling vortex in front of them. Roland, understanding, wasted no time. He carefully placed Darwin on the dragon's back, her small hand gripping tightly onto its icy scales.
Hold on tight, little one,
Roland instructed, his voice firm but reassuring. Darwin, her eyes wide with awe and a touch of fear, nodded, her gaze fixed on the swirling vortex. The dragon, with a powerful flap of its wings, launched itself towards the vortex, Roland clinging tightly to its side. The vortex, as they drew closer, revealed itself to be a portal, its depths swirling with images of another realm, one filled with ghostly figures and dancing shadows. The dragon, unfazed, plunged into the portal, carrying Roland and Darwin with it. The witches, their chants finally resuming, could only watch in frustrated silence as the portal sealed shut behind them, the icy air left in the dragon's wake the only evidence of their presence. They had escaped the witches' lair, but their journey was far from over. A new realm awaited, one shrouded in mystery and danger, where shadows danced and phantoms whispered secrets long forgotten. Roland, ever the protector, tightened his grip on the dragon's scales, his gaze determined. They would find Bellery, and they would bring her home. The fate of their adventure, it seemed, rested in the hands of a child witch, a steampunk gorilla, and an ice dragon who held the keys to realms unknown. The icy grip of the vortex released them, depositing them gently onto a cold stone floor. Roland blinked, his eyes struggling to adjust to the dim, ethereal glow that permeated this new realm. Gone were the jagged rock formations and oppressive darkness of the witch's lair. Here, a spectral luminescence bathed everything in soft, shimmering light. It emanated from the very air itself, swirling and pulsing like a gentle, ethereal heartbeat. Darwin, her eyes wide with wonder, slid down from the ice dragon's back, her fingers trailing along its frosty scales. The creature, its task seemingly done, let out a soft puff of icy breath before dissolving into a cloud of shimmering snowflakes, leaving behind only a whisper of cold and the faint scent of winter.
Where are we now?
Darwin whispered, her voice barely audible above the rustle of unseen things. Roland, his gaze sweeping their surroundings, couldn't help but share her awe. This realm felt ancient, haunted by echoes of a past both beautiful and melancholic. Towering structures crafted from a luminous pearlescent stone rose from the ground, their spires piercing the swirling mists above. They were like nothing he'd ever seen, their architecture both delicate and imposing, adorned with intricate carvings that seemed to writhe and shift in the spectral light. Ghostly figures, Wisps of luminescence, given form, drifted between the structures, their forms fluid and ever-changing. They moved with a grace that defied gravity, their forms swirling and reforming in silent spectral dances. Roland, ever vigilant, kept a watchful eye on the spectral dancers, their ethereal beauty doing little to quell the unease that coiled in his gut. There was a sadness that clung to this place, a profound sense of loss that resonated in the very air they breathed. He couldn't shake the feeling that they were treading on hallowed ground, a place where the veil between worlds was thin and the echoes of the past whispered secrets yet to be unveiled.
This is where the witches came from.
Roland turned, surprised.
You know this place?
Darwin nodded, her gaze distant as if seeing something beyond the spectral landscape.
I saw it in the memories the eye unlocked. This is their home, or at least it was. They abandoned it long ago, choosing to spread their darkness elsewhere.
She pointed towards a cluster of caves that gaped like shadowy mouths in the base of the nearest luminous structure. Their entrances were shrouded in an unnatural darkness, a stark contrast to the ethereal glow that bathed the rest of the realm.
16 caves, each one holding a prison. 30 souls trapped within, their life force slowly draining away.
Roland felt a surge of anger, the injustice of it burning like a cold fire in his chest. These witches, they weren't just cruel, they were monsters. To steal another's freedom, to feed off their very essence, it was an act of unspeakable depravity.
We have to free them.
Darwin nodded, her expression resolute. The Eye of Everwatch, once a tool of the witch's oppression, now pulsed with a different kind of power, responding to the nascent magic that flowed through Darwin's veins. It illuminated the path ahead, revealing the intricate workings of the witch's magic, the threads of their power laid bare. They approached the nearest cave, its entrance sealed with a shimmering barrier of dark energy. Roland, drawing on the raw power that surged through his massive frame, slammed his fist against the barrier. It held firm, the impact reverberating back with a force that rattled his bones.
It's no use. This magic, it's different, stronger.
Darwin, her gaze fixed on the pulsating barrier, raised her hand. The Eye of Everwatch, floating above her outstretched palm, pulsed in sync with the barrier, analyzing, deciphering.
It's anchored to their shared eye. If we can disrupt its power, even for a moment, the barrier will weaken.
Roland, his brow furrowed in thought, considered her words.
But how? Their eye, it's their most prized possession. Heavily guarded, I'm sure.
Darwin smirked, a mischievous glint in her eye.
That's where you come in, Roland. You're very good at distractions, aren't you?
As Roland let out a booming laugh, the ground trembling beneath his feet, Darwin focused her will, channeling her magic through the eye. A beam of pure white light shot forth, striking the cave entrance with a blinding flash. The barrier flickered, its energy wavering. It was time to act. The ground shook with Roland's charge, his booming laughter echoing through the spectral realm as he barreled towards the cluster of caves. The ghostly figures, startled by the sudden display of brute force, scattered like leaves in a windstorm, their spectral forms rippling as if caught in an unseen current. Two of the witches, alerted by the commotion, emerged from the shadows, their single shared eye narrowed in suspicion.
What's this?
Whisper's voice was as sharp and cold as shattered ice. Her companion, Hart, known for her unsettling ability to blend seamlessly with the shadows, remained silent, her gaze fixed on the approaching Roland, her form flickering as if caught between this world and the next.
Just a little entertainment, my dears.
Roland's voice was laced with mock cheer. He slammed his massive fist against the ground, creating a fissure that snaked towards the witches, momentarily distracting them from Darwin's more subtle efforts. Taking advantage of the distraction, Darwin focused her will, channeling a stream of blinding white light through the Eye of Everwatch. The beam struck the witch's shared eye, its surface rippling like water under a barrage of stones. A shriek, sharp and piercing, echoed through the realm as the witches reeled back, clutching their eye, their control over the barriers momentarily broken.
Now, Roland!
Darwin's voice rang with urgency. Roland, seizing the opportunity, unleashed a torrent of ball lightning, the crackling spheres of energy arcing through the air to slam against the weakened barriers. One by one, the barriers shattered, releasing their captives into the spectral light. 30 souls, their forms flickering like newly lit candles, stumbled out of the shattered caves, their eyes wide with a mixture of confusion and relief. They had been trapped for so long, their life force slowly draining away, that the sensation of freedom, of their essence returning, was almost overwhelming. Some wept openly, their tears shimmering like fallen stars in the spectral light. Others simply stared, their expressions vacant, lost in the echoes of their captivity. Roland, his heart swelling with a mixture of triumph and compassion, moved among them, his presence a reassuring beacon in the aftermath of their ordeal. He offered words of comfort, his deep voice a soothing balm to their frayed nerves. Darwin, her own heart aching for their suffering, used her burgeoning magic to mend their wounds, the eye of Everwatch pulsing with a gentle healing light. As the freed souls began to regain their strength, their forms solidifying, their voices returning, a sense of hope bloomed in the spectral realm, fragile yet tenacious. They had been victims, pawns in the witch's cruel game, but now, united by their shared ordeal and empowered by the courage of a steampunk gorilla and a child witch, they were ready to fight back. The freed souls, their voices a chorus of gratitude and defiance, gathered around Roland and Darwin. They came from different walks of life, their appearances as varied as the stars in the sky, but they were united by a common enemy and a shared desire for justice.
We owe you our lives. How can we ever repay you?
Roland, touched by her sincerity, smiled gently. Your freedom is all the repayment we need, but the fight is far from over. We still need to find your families, those who were taken alongside you. A shadow fell over the gathering, a palpable wave of fear rippling through the freed souls. Whispers of doubt and uncertainty replaced their newfound hope.
They're too powerful. We stand no chance against them.
Darwin, sensing their wavering resolve, stepped forward. The eye of Everwatch, sensing her determination, pulsed with renewed power, its light reflecting in her determined eyes.
We can't give up now, not when we've come so far. The witches may be powerful, but they're not invincible. We have something they fear, the power of unity, the strength of our combined will.
As Darwin spoke, the air crackled with a new kind of energy. Not the cold, oppressive magic of the witches, but something warmer, more vibrant. It flowed from the freed souls, their fear transforming into resolve, their despair into hope. They had been victims for too long, their spirits crushed under the weight of the witches' tyranny. But now, inspired by the courage of a steampunk gorilla and a child witch who dared to challenge their oppressors, they were ready to reclaim their power, to fight for a future free from fear. Roland, sensing the shift in the air, smiled. He had always believed in the power of hope, the indomitable spirit that resided within even the most downtrodden of souls. It was a power that transcended magic, a force that could move mountains and topple empires. Darwin is right. We are stronger together than we are apart. The witches may have stolen your families, your freedom, but they will never steal your spirit, your will to fight. As one, the freed souls raised their voices in a defiant roar, their individual fears and doubts melting away in the face of their shared determination. They had found their strength not in magic or might, but in the unbreakable bonds of compassion and unity. The witches, Whisper and Heart, reeled from the unexpected assault, their shared eye throbbing painfully in its socket. They retreated to the depths of their former lair, a labyrinthine complex carved into the heart of the luminous structures, their footsteps echoing ominously in the spectral silence.
That wretched child, she wields our own magic against us. How is that possible?
Heart, her form flickering erratically, her connection to the spectral realm strained by the surge of opposing magic, remained silent. Her fear, however, was palpable, a palpable tremor in the air around her. The eye of Everwatch, once a tool of their power, a symbol of their dominion over this realm, had become a double-edged sword, its power turned against them by the very forces they had sought to control.
We underestimated them. The ape, The child, they have awakened something within these souls, something we failed to anticipate.
Whisper, her rage momentarily forgotten, turned to her companion, her single eye narrowed in suspicion.
What do you mean?
Heart, her form solidifying as she drew strength from the surrounding shadows, met her gaze.
They have awakened hope. And hope, my dear Whisper, is a power far more dangerous than any magic we wield.
The spectral realm, once shrouded in fear and despair, thrummed with a newfound vibrancy. The freed souls, their spirits reignited, worked tirelessly alongside Roland and Darwin, their combined efforts transforming the desolate landscape into a haven of hope. The luminous structures, once symbols of the witch's tyranny, now pulsed with a warm, inviting glow, their spectral light reflecting the joy and laughter that filled the air. The ghostly figures, their forms no longer bound by sorrow, danced with an ethereal grace, their movements a celebration of life and freedom. As the last vestiges of the witch's magic faded from the realm, a sense of peace settled over the land, a tranquility born of resilience and the enduring power of the human spirit. Roland, his heart brimming with pride, watched as Darwin, her eyes shining with newfound wisdom, addressed their newfound friends.
Unity, the strength found in shared purpose.
Her words echoed through the spectral realm, a beacon of hope for a brighter future. Their journey, perilous and fraught with danger, had come to an end, but their adventure, Roland knew, was far from over. There were countless other realms to explore, countless other souls in need of their unique brand of steampunk-infused heroism. And so, with a final wave to their newfound friends, Roland and Darwin stepped back through the shimmering portal, ready to face whatever adventures awaited them. Their hearts filled with the knowledge that even in the darkest of times, hope, like a flickering candle in the void, could never truly be extinguished.